about my love. Wasn't it enough? Just let me know.
So the NFL is bringing back the emergency third quarterback rule. Posted on PFT, posted by Mike Florio. So the emergency third quarterback rule is back. It actually never really left. The league used to allow teams to dress third quarterback for emergency purposes. If he entered the game before the start of the fourth quarter, the other two could not return. Eventually, the league allowed teams to dress a 46 player without regard to position. Few teams ever choose to dress the third quarterback, rolling the dice on lightning not striking twice in the same game at one of the most protected positions. For the 49ers and the game, the dice came up craps in the bad way during the NFC Championship after San Francisco lost both healthy quarterbacks and had no one else. Now the league has brought back the third quarterback rule, giving teams the power to designate a roster spot for an extra signal caller. Two catches to this. First, the player must be on the 53-man roster. He cannot be called up from the practice squad. And second, the third quarterback can play only if the other two are injured or ejected. If one of the injured quarterbacks is cleared to return, the third quarterback must exit. The question now becomes whether teams will devote a spot on the 53-man roster to a third quarterback. Plenty currently don't, but perhaps more will now.
I'll go first here.
Yeah, go ahead and go.
This is a stupid rule. Another one. Because teams could, if you're going to be taking up a spot on the 53-man roster, what's the point? Because if you want a third quarterback anyways on the roster, you got to take up a spot. So it's basically saying it's stupid when it should just come down to whether or not teams want to roll with 3 QBs on the active rosters or not. I know from like the Packers standpoint, they only do 2. I know the Bears only do 2, and I know a few others, like a lot of teams do 2, but there's some who do 3. And I feel like that should not be a rule. It just should be like something that's just known, whether or not you want to take the risk with a backup QB. Because what teams usually hold on to 3 QBs. 2 of them are on the active, 1's on the practice, and you have 1 emergency QB as already. And that's how it should be. So I just feel like this is a pointless and stupid rule again.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand it.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I don't like how the rule is made because I'm an Eagles fan and I'm just sick and tired of 49ers fans and players complaining about this. I am because, in the article, it said most protected, and the 49ers failed to protect both of their quarterbacks. You would think after Brock Purdy getting injured, they would know, like, okay, we got to double this guy, or, we got to add more protection to this side instead of having our, second or third string tight end blocking. Why don't we have George Kittle, who is one of, if not the best blocking tight ends?
The best, not one of. He is the best.
The best blocking tight end. And I mean, you just move him over to that side.
Double team him with Kittle.
Exactly, because I mean, you've got weapons. It's not like you really need George Kittle as a weapon. Yes, he's helpful, but it's not like you really need it. So
because you got Samuel, you got Ayuk, you got what's the running back's name? They always switch it. Yeah, thank you. You have CMC. You have the weapons, and it's just like it's like they should have known how their luck was going. Maybe we should have had a third spot on the QB instead of 6 cornerbacks. I don't know what the roster is, but usually some teams do that. Or maybe we should have done that instead of having 5 extra offensive linemen and just rolled with 3 and just rotate those 3 in who are versatile wherever they go, Yeah. Like if you have a bad luck with your QB room, it's either A, you're in injuries, it's how you're protecting them, or B, it's just you are like someone cursed you that year. Like you're cursed.
And I mean, just again, going back to the rule, I can understand it because I get most teams usually do 2, some do 3.
Burn.
I've seen some people just say at this point, might as well just, because I guess this has been a conversation going for a long time, talking about wanting to expand past 53 man. I don't think you do that, but yeah, you do kind of lose a position on one of the more rotational pieces, like a defensive tackle or
Defensive
O
end.
lineman, anything on the defensive line, a linebacker. So you're taking away one of those rotational pieces.
Or
And I mean, I'm sorry, but you've seen, and I know people are talking about, don't want to put Christian McCaffrey in, but we've seen McCaffrey have passing touchdowns. You've seen wide receivers like OBJ throw the ball better than his quarterback sometimes. So, I mean, and you've also seen these guys do position changes. Lynn Bowden Jr. played at Kentucky. He was the quarterback, wide receiver, running back there. So, I mean, you've got, in my opinion, it's always better to have one of those, like your fifth wide receiver or whatever, but also he is a gadget player if you need him for whatever, like a quarterback again, like Lynn Bowden Jr. out of Kentucky.
Okay. I just got one more thing to say, then you can go, Coach. I feel like you got some stuff to say. Instead of saying it comes out of the 53-man roster, why not just say they could have a spot where it does not affect the roster at all? So you don't lose like a fifth wideout for say, because you're having terrible luck at your QB when that fifth wideout could be a very like quick guy who you use on end rounds or who you have back there for like trick plays or stuff like that, like who's more important to the playbook and the game that week than a third string QB, because it should just have its own spot. It'd be called like the emergency QB. If you really want to do that, have it be the emergency QB. Keep those rules how it is if he only could come in if both QBs go down. He can only play as long as both QBs are out, type of thing. That's how it should be.
And I mean, they did something similar to this when they had the emergency quarterback for COVID, which, I mean, I get he wasn't on the 53-man roster. His whole job was just stay home, try to stay fit if you're needed because of COVID, all that stuff. So I get it's a little bit different, but
it's
I don't know. I feel like you should have, because even when I did, and I get my coaching, girls flag football is different than coaching.
Very different.
Well, I know that, but even still, like I had, all my players know how to at least throw a quick slant, if anything, because I put them in different positions. My quarterback would go in at wide receiver at some points. There'd be trick plays where I would fool everybody and bam, all of a sudden, boom, now the quarterback's a receiver and you weren't paying attention because you saw her walk off towards the sideline, go off, direct snap to wide receiver. All right, now I'm just going off.
No, like, and we see, like,
you got to be prepared for stuff like this.
And it's like
everybody should know how to at least do a simple pass. I feel like it.
And I feel like the Niners forget the whole point of the emergency quarterback is if all your QBs go down, you have a player who is on the active 53-man roster and is still important even when the quarterbacks aren't there, who can throw the ball to a quick slant, like a CMC type player who can do screen passes enough. That's what they're for. And I feel like the Niners are just trying to find another reason to complain about that Philly game. Yeah, that's what it is.
You're telling me with how shifty Deebo Samuel is and the fact that we've seen Christian McCaffrey throw the bomb. You're telling me for a quick while you couldn't have McCaffrey and a quarterback throw a couple of slants towards Deebo and have Deebo work his quote unquote magic,
or do formation where CMC is a QB and Deebo.
Or you're telling me one of the other wide receivers can't complete a simple 5 to 15 yard pass?
But Coach, you go ahead. I know you got
Coach. Yeah, you cook, brother.
You good. Nah, you good. I ain't gonna. It ain't even that much nothing to cook on. I'm not too mad at the rule because again, quarterback is the most important position in the NFL. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to be successful. I don't care what kind of offensive line you're behind. I don't care what receiving course. If you don't have that quarterback, then you would kind of not be successful. So other than that, I'm not mad at it at all. But at the same time, like y'all said, it is like you are taking away a spot for someone you may need on special teams or you may need on your defense on your offensive line, you is doing that. But again, the most important position is quarterback in the NFL. And, it just depends on how long that starting quarterback is out too. It depends on how long that starting quarterback is out too, because that starting quarterback, your main quarterback kind of will tell you how long he's going to be out, how long the backup will be there, So just in case the backup gets hurt, you'll have the emergency quarterback ready, and you're going to always have a utility player like a Christian McCaffrey, or like we had a Shane Lettler. Shane Lettler was our punter. He was our emergency quarterback.
Randall Cobb for Green Bay.
He was our emergency quarterback in case anybody, in case it got down to that point. So yeah, I feel it.
And I feel like the Niners are just, like I said, trying to find a way to get rid of, just keep talking about the Philly loss as much as they can because they're butthurt. You lost that game because of terrible offensive line play. Terrible. Instead of adjusting to it, you didn't. And I'm starting to get on the Kyle Shanahan might have to go there. He might have to be gone because he cannot make the adjustments there. But that's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah,
but
again, kind of long story short, I feel like this is what all of us, well, maybe not all of us, but like for me, I like the role. I'm not mad at it. I don't like the reason why it was created, but we do kind of all agree this does take away one roster spot.
It does.
Can be used on D-line, O-line, linebacker, safety,
special
teams, literally your main important thing.
But with the other rule, special teams going away, don't forget. So yeah.
But again, how many people are really going to follow that rule?
No one.
Exactly.
Maybe teams that have terrible returners and are just there for a year.
I guess, yeah.
Like that's the only teams I see. But it's just like the Niners brass. This is more on them than anything because they should have gotten a backup quarterback who's not injury prone.
Yeah.
That's on them for not doing their research because let's be honest, I'd rather have a healthy a guy who hasn't played a snap in the NFL as my backup who I know can make the 5-10 yard throws without worries compared to an emergency QB who never played a snap. Like for example, I don't know why he's in my hand. Let's say Tanner Morgan. I'd rather have him than an injury prone guy as my backup QB.
Okay.
That's how bad it was. Trey Lance went down. Jimmy G went down. Brock Purdy went down.
Josh
Johnson went down. And so it's that bad. The Niners should know to stop having injury prone guys. Trey Lance is injury prone for those because I feel like there's going to be some Niners fans that try to say Trey Lance is injury prone. He is. If you're telling me you sit out a year out of college, right before you go to NFL, that has an effect on your body, whether you want to admit it or not.